And thus, another beta comes to an end. My Hero Ultra Rumble is probably one of the games that I've played the most in my life without it officially coming out. This is the third My Hero beta that I've played, and it seems like it will be the last one before they launch the final game. It has no release date yet, but if they're that confident that they won't need any more tests, it might be close. I've always done a beta review at the end of these, but this time I also asked you guys for feedback on Twitter, so it's not just my opinion. I can also talk about your concerns and give you guys sort of a megaphone here, as they've clearly listened to us in the past and made the game better, so let's keep it going and look towards the future. Here's my Ultra Rumble open beta review, brought to you by Opera GX. It's time to break up with your old boring browser and start using something that's been custom built for you. Opera GX is not for everyone, but if you game and you love watching anime or reading manga, this is the real deal. You can customize how the browser looks and sounds with the GX mods. With a single click, it can give you background music, keyboard sounds, opening and closing tabs, dedicated wallpapers, and more. And of course, all of these little features are customizable, so much so that you can make your own GX mod and share it with the community. If you're in the middle of a long show, then this next feature was built for you. With a single click, you can separate a video from the browser and it will follow you into any tab you navigate to, in a fully adjustable and resizable window. Whenever you need to take a break, the sidebar is your best friend with every app you could possibly want. Check some funny videos on TikTok, chat on Discord, or check your Twitter feed, all just a click away. And if you're coming from another browser, making the transition has never been easier. Browsing history, bookmarks, cookies, all imported with just a few clicks, and it's also compatible with every Google Chrome extension. So if you're ready to use a browser that's been custom built for you and is absolutely free, make sure to download Opera GX using my link down below. And thank you, Opera, for sponsoring this video. I want to start by addressing some things that have definitely improved since last time. The netcode is really great. There were times when the EU servers were dead because I was playing at no man hours in the morning, so I hopped over to the NA servers, and you can feel the lag here and there, but it's very minimal. It's honestly impressive how good of a netcode we've got here. Leave it to Viking to pull off their black magic once again. Really good job. And really good job on the aiming too. Now, I got a lot of angry people about the aiming on Twitter, but to me, the aiming is really good right now. If you turn on aim assist, the tracking is way too aggressive. I'm personally not a fan, but it's gonna help folks that have a really hard time aiming on controller. That said, if you need to lead shots, you gotta turn it off. Being able to lead shots while the aim assist was that accurate, I think would be absolutely broken. And I think a lot of players want a lock-on system. I mean, they kept talking about the lock-on needing adjustments. It's not a lock-on system. It's not that kind of game. This is a third-person shooter. You are supposed to aim at the enemy, not just lock on and mash the button. Some skill has to be involved when aiming, and if previously aiming on controller was too manual, too raw, this time I did feel a bit of smoothing, and I was able to land most of my shots. Out of everything I gave feedback in the last beta, this is the improvement that I'm the most happy with. I'm so glad they listened, and I'm so glad they've adjusted it. The new systems are all positive changes in my opinion, but they all need some touching up, possibly. I don't think the Plus Ultra is as powerful as intended, unless it was mainly intended to be a shield refill. In that case, yeah, it's fine. The revive feels very weak because it's not the easiest thing to do, and then you revive with level 1 quirks. Maybe empty the inventory, leaving characters without shields or HP, but give them their levels back, because this doesn't feel worth it most of the time. The finishing moves also look a little bit janky, but honestly, I don't know how you'd fix it. And finally, when's crossplay getting announced? I mean, we've clearly got two lists of friends, one for in-game and another one for platform friends. It's clear that the goal is crossplay, so why hasn't that been announced yet? Is this something that we can expect, or should we just not get our hopes up? That's it for the praise. Now, this is a beta, so there were a lot of bugs. Let's get those out of the way before we move on to actual feedback on improvements. By far the biggest issue I had with the game was the inaccurate drop. So with PlayStation 4 and 5 having different load times, I would often load into the map before my party members, causing them to see me move my character portrait, but they would often just stay still in the middle of the screen for me. And just like my teammates, every person who loaded in slower than I did would be stuck in the middle of the map. So this spawn that you see here with everyone spawning in the middle is very inaccurate. You never know how many teams drop next to you from this overview, and it definitely needs fixing. God, imagine this game gets crossplay with the Switch loading times and this is still an issue. Teaming up with friends also seems like kind of a pain. First of all, whenever I invite someone to my party, my account would often send 5 or 6 invites to that person, spamming the hell out of them, but that's more annoying than anything else. Problem is when it straight up doesn't work, and the team ID system does seem a bit broken, as I had people not being able to join my party at all through the team IDs, and many folks reported the same on Twitter. Ida has an issue that doesn't really look like a bug, more like an oversight. They made his moveset too good, basically. He can just fly infinitely, staying out of range from everyone else, and that's kind of busted. Also, Ida's ability becomes interrupted if he picks up a card that levels it up. But I bet this is not a glitch limited to Ida. I bet you can replicate this with other characters. They just get stuck in the animation as soon as they level up their ability, and in this case, Ida can also just fly forever too. And finally, there were some sound issues. I don't know what the trigger was, but sometimes sound would just break. Like I would stop being able to hear other players. Or I would get underwater sound even though I left the water already. Super weird stuff, but it seems like it was server-wide as my teammates had the exact same issues at the same time as they happened to me. In general, I am loving the game though, and I think most of the community feedback is very positive, and bugs are, after all, expected during a beta. Hope they can fix them, so up next, let's talk about some improvements we'd love to see. These are not glitches, these are not bugs, these are things that are working as intended, but we'd like to see some changes, both me and Twitter. First of all, there were a lot of requests for character balance, and I think they're on the right track. On the first beta, Mount Lady was busted. On the second beta, All Might was busted. In this one, it felt like a bunch of different characters were busted, so I'd say we're definitely on the right track. Buffs and nerfs will happen throughout this game's whole cycle, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Balance patches will most likely be frequent, knowing how Viking treated One Justice 2. Next, I think the revive system is cool and all, and I love that you can see how many revive cards your allies have at all times, but we need the same indicator for us. I cannot see how many revive cards I have without opening the menu, so definitely add that number to the HUD. Speaking of cards, when you pick up cards that are not your type, I think this should automatically level up in your inventory when you get the same type. They do level up if they're equipped on the passive slot, but not if they're just in your regular inventory. This change would save us a lot of inventory management. I've talked about this before, but the big letters in the middle of the screen with game warnings do ruin a lot of gameplay moments for me. I'm aiming at an enemy and the letters just completely block the enemy character. This is not okay. I can't see how many teams are left on the top left of the screen. That's a big number. I don't need this big warning in the middle of the screen blocking my view, especially since it will bother some characters more than others. Another issue, I didn't even think of it until someone mentioned it to me, but the jump is a bit sluggish. You can see Bakugo here starting his jump animation, but then canceling it and just getting a grounded attack when I hit the attack button. My Hero 1's Justice already had this issue where the jump took a while to come out, but in this game where mobility feels so much more important, it's an even bigger deal. The jump should feel snappier. During this beta, I also got a decent amount of games against bots, and while I think it's fine that the game does this when it can't find anyone to match you with, these bots have to at least pretend to be people. They will literally just run after you and stare, doing absolutely nothing. This isn't even easy difficulty. This is basically glorified training dummies. Games like Fortnite do a pretty good job at blending in bots. I mean, I can notice when I'm fighting bots now, but as a beginner, I couldn't tell the difference between a bot and a player. So maybe disguising that a little bit better would be awesome for newer players. And finally, I have to mention these menus. They are a bit janky. They feels like a PC menu that you navigate with a controller. The design isn't the best. It just feels uncomfortable and honestly overwhelming to navigate. There's not much left to say except that this game needs more stages! The two main pieces of feedback in the previous betas were 1. Fix the aiming, and I think they've done that for the most part, and 2. More stages. This is a smaller battle royale than usual. This stage is already old and repetitive. It's not gonna take long for players to get sick of it on the full release. We need a map rotation for sure. We still don't know how aggressive the gacha mechanics will be. Once again, they gave us a lot of currency to just unlock everything, so we can't really provide any feedback on that front. And finally, if I can ask for a feature, if I can make one wish, is custom lobbies. Let us party up with a bunch of different friends. You don't need to give us any currency or any rewards from the custom lobbies, but I think it would be awesome to organize events, maybe even create a little Ultra Rumble League, who knows, but without custom lobbies that is impossible to do. But what's not impossible, it's actually very easy, is to download that Opera GX, which is a fantastic browser. You can download it today for free, the link is down below. And if you've got any more feedback, make sure to leave it in the comments. If not, here's what I thought of Kendo. Yes, she needs more love right now. I think she is the worst character this beta had. Thank you so much for watching. Boy.